All right, it is day 9 or 10, I don't remember, but this is our haul for the day. We got wood, insulation, tires are kind of irrelevant right now, but we're gonna try to build the whole subfloor today. Got the fans in yesterday, looking good. All right, here's the finished product of where we're gonna put all the support, the subfloor framing. We're just gonna glue this all down. We didn't end up doing a beam across the back here because there's just too many imperfections in the floor, and I think it's gonna have plenty of support without that. All right, got that all glued. We're gonna let that dry and we'll check back in tomorrow. Back at it again with day 10. I just got done running a bajillion errands, so it's a really late start today, but I'm gonna see how far I can get cutting and installing this insulation, and if I have time, I'll start working on getting the plywood layer trimmed to bolt down on top, screw down on top. So first off, I wanna talk insulation. So this was one of the biggest decisions that we needed to make. We wanted to do all natural, environmentally friendly insulation and materials on this whole van. So originally I was thinking hemp for the floor, but you can only buy it in bulk. So we're gonna look at about like over $400 and have more 1-inch insulation than we needed. And so then I was looking at cork, because you can buy cork rolls. It's technically like underlaying for carpet, but if you stack it 3 layers thick, you get enough insulation. I was gonna do that, but that was gonna be about $230 to $300, and that's just a lot of money. And so started looking at foam board insulation just because it's so much cheaper. So I started by looking at Policio board. I'll put the spelling in the video, just because it's slightly better on the environment than a lot of the more standard insulation. But problem with that is below 35 degrees, I think it is, it starts losing its insulative properties. And I'm thinking, well, we have friends in Colorado. We don't know we'd find ourselves in Colorado in the winter. It's getting down to like 10 degrees and sometimes in the negatives at night. And so we don't want to start losing insulative properties pretty fast at those temperatures. So anyway, after all this research, we ended up going with this. This is an XPF board. It's 3/4 inch thick to match our subflooring. And yeah, it's not good on the environment, so we are only going to use it on the floor. And in the walls, we're either gonna go hemp or sheep's wool. So there we go. Kind of had to cut our losses, but oh, this was about 60 bucks versus $200 to $300. So that's another major factor. It's also gonna be a lot easier to install. So it is what it is. All right, so I'm gonna start by measuring out these really long strips here. We'll cut all the big ones here, and then I'm gonna cut all the big ones up there, and then use the spare to fill in these small little gaps here. I'm gonna be wearing gloves and a mask just because this isn't the best natural material, so just to be safe. All right, day 11. I'm back to cutting foam insulation, and then hopefully today I'll actually get to cutting the plywood to go on top of this. I'm wearing a long sleeve today because yesterday my arms got itchy cutting the XPFs. finish that job up. This is the finished result. Took a lot of filling in little weird shapes because the wood isn't always perfectly straight, and I'll be honest, my cuts aren't always perfectly straight, but there we go. She's ready for the plywood. Okay, so my current plan is line this old floor on. We were lucky that our van came with flooring in it originally. So I'm gonna line it up and kind of cut that edge, and then I'll take the back piece and put it there and cut out the wheel well, or at least start to. But we'll see how that goes. I might screw this into the plywood just to know that it's not gonna move. It's hard to cut curves.
You got this. Not too many more curves.
I know,
That's a lie.
like the wheel close to the rocks or the concrete.
We're unstoppable. Let's go, let's go.
Alright, so that worked really well. I ended up just putting 3 screws to secure it so it can't rotate while I was cutting. And we just did the same to the second template piece. So I'm going to finish cutting that out. And then I'll check back in when we test fit it in the van. Alright, we got all the wood cut. It honestly looks amazing. There's a few tiny little spots we got to touch up. But we're going to wrap it up for the day. And tomorrow we'll come back, touch up a few spots, and screw everything down, and she's good to go. All right, it's day 12 of the van build. Floor's still looking good. We haven't screwed it in yet, so today we're just gonna get everything lined up one final time and screw in the plywood to the supports, and that way nothing can shift. And then that's probably the last thing we'll do before we move it to Texas. Got a few mechanical things to look at still, but then after we get it screwed in, we're just gonna go through and kind of trim up some of the edges, some of the overhang of the insulation and supports. And then at the step, there's a little bit of overhang of the plywood. So yeah, cut to a time lapse of us doing that. All 3 pieces secured, and I was just going to reiterate, the reason the seam is not centered might bother you, but that is going to be underneath, hopefully underneath a bench, and this seam is going to be in part of our garage area. So I really want to hide the seams, that way it's really hard to tell, just in case you can see them through whatever vinyl flooring we end up putting on top. But I think I'm going to call that good for the day on the floor, and yeah, we'll do some touch-ups a little bit later.